There are a few things that I never say to patients, and I'm surprised to hear so many other techs using this language over and over again. Here's what they are. As a radiographer, there are certain positions that we need our patients to get into in order to get a very quality diagnostic x-ray. There are two ways to get a patient in position. You can either move them yourself, or you can use your words in order to help guide them into proper positioning. I hear techs all the time asking, can you blank? Can you move your arm this way? Can you raise your knee up? Most likely, they're going to answer with no. They're going to claim that they can't do what you're asking them to do because either A, they don't want to, B, they don't understand what you're saying and how they're going to accomplish that, or C, they are actually in pain and they legitimately can't. For example, you're taking an x-ray of an ankle and you need the patient to dorsiflex their foot so that their toes are pointed towards the ceiling. This gets the calcaneus out of the joint space that you're needing to visualize. If you ask the patient, can you point your toes towards the ceiling? They're most likely going to say no, or I can't, because it hurts. It hurts a lot for ankle injuries of all types, even if it's just a sprain. Ankle injuries are one of those that your ankle will just swell up and it's painful. So now you're stuck in a position where you're stuck taking a bad x-ray where the positioning is going to be subpar, or you have to go through the motions with the patient and say, well, I really do need you to point your toes up towards the ceiling. In order to avoid this whole dialogue and this back and forth, I tell the patient, so next we're going to flex your foot up so that your toes are pointing towards the ceiling. They may be hesitant. You tell them it's okay, we can go slow, there's no rush, and you can help assist them get into the proper positioning. For older generations, if you ask, can you stand? They're going to say, I can try. Or, sure. They are very willing to attempt to be independent, even though it may not be safe for them. So instead of asking them, can you stand? I ask, when was the last time you stood? Or, how are you feeling standing today? Or, did you walk into the hospital? Because that will give me an idea of how well they will be on their feet throughout my exam. You can let your patients know that there are other ways to do things. So if they need assistance standing, then we can use the Sarah study. That way they feel independent doing their exam. However, they're going to be safe using that equipment. Or you can do the chest x-ray in their wheelchair to avoid moving them at all. One thing that I hear in hospitals all the time that I wish people wouldn't say is, does that hurt? Yeah, it hurts. Everything hurts. If you're in the hospital and it doesn't hurt, then you might not need to be in the hospital. Most of the time this comes from a parent or a loved one of the patient whenever we're performing our exams. Whenever I do hear this question, I quickly try to deflect the question and distract the patient. When we have a level 2 arm injury come in and their arm looks like a roller coaster, then I know that they've probably been given either fentanyl or Versed, so really strong pain medication that will help the patient get through the exam. And I can let them know that medicine's doing its job, we're almost done, this is your last picture, or there's just one more picture to go, and let them know that they're doing a great job. That's definitely one of my biggest pet peeves of working in pediatrics, because a lot of parents will ask that question and it's not helpful. The last thing that I never say is actually just how you speak to a patient when they're intoxicated. When working with adults, especially if you are a CT tech, so you're doing their CAT scans, we get a lot of intoxicated head and neck scans. In order to complete this exam, we need the patient to be laying on their back, holding super still, for approximately 30 seconds. It sounds easy whenever you are completely sober. However, intoxicated individuals have a very hard time doing this. The way to make the exam worse is if you're yelling at the patient. If somebody is yelling at you and giving you directions while you are not in the right state of mind, you're probably not going to comply to those requests. You will probably become combative and cause more issues to the person who is trying to get you to do what they want you to do. So if you are having trouble getting a patient to comply with your requests, then try being sweet and kind and gentle and patient. If they do become a safety hazard or combative, then you are able to send them back to their room until they sober up a little bit, kind of take a nap, and you can bring them back later. There is no need to ever yell at a patient. Sometimes you have to speak loudly to people once you take out their hearing aids, but you still don't have to yell at them. Just be loud. Also, a side note for geriatrics who are hard of hearing, a female's voice is a higher octave that is harder to hear for patients. So instead of speaking louder, speak lower. So your tone of voice can be lower and that can be easier for them to hear. Try it. I know this was a short video. At some point I will get my life together and I will create more videos on a consistent schedule. But for now, I do appreciate you hanging out with me whenever I do post. As always, have a great day, stay safe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.